What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Court Vision. In this video, I'm going to be talking about another really great playoff series out in the Western Conference. It's going to be the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. This is a great series. A lot of these series that we're seeing in the West don't really feel like they should be first round series. Lakers Timberwolves doesn't feel like it should be first round. Golden State Houston, Clippers Nuggets. I don't know. None of these series, even OKC Memphis, doesn't feel like it should be a first round series. You know what I mean? It's crazy to think that 4 of those 8 teams aren't going to make the second round of the playoffs with how good they've been. Without further ado, let's get into it. In terms of the past matchups from the season, we don't really have a ton of great info on those matchups because they've both teams have been missing important pieces in those games, right? In the most recent game, Luka was playing for the Lakers, but there was no Julius Randle or Rudy Gobert for the Wolves. And then before that, in the other 3 matchups, there was no Luka, and the Lakers had AD. So it's hard to get an exact read of how the teams are going to match up, how they're going to take on defensive assignments, things like that. In terms of those defensive coverages, the Lakers actually like to have Rui on Ant a lot. But obviously, I can see some other people taking on that matchup. Bron was on him a little bit as well in some of those previous games. I can see Dorian Finney-Smith taking that matchup off the bench. Lakers will definitely switch the coverage a lot. So we'll see a couple different guys on Ant. Question that's really kind of hard to answer is who's going to be on Rudy Gobert, right? In the last game without Rudy Gobert, Bron was on Naz Reid, who was starting. So maybe LeBron will be on him, but probably going to be Jackson Hayes, you would imagine, right? So the most likely initial assignments we're going to see from the Lakers, we're probably going to see Luka defending Jaden McDaniels, Jackson Hayes on Rudy Gobert. We'll probably see LeBron on Julius Randle, Rui on Ant, and then Austin Reeves on Mike Conley. But there's definitely going to be a lot of switching from the Lakers, and those lineups aren't exactly set in stone. I could definitely see something like LeBron defending Gobert with Hayes on Randle, something like that. And then for Minnesota, it's a little easier to say. It'll probably be Mike Conley on Austin Reeves, so the mirror matchup there. It'll be Randle on LeBron, Jaden McDaniels probably on Luka Doncic, and Rudy Gobert will almost definitely be defending Jackson Hayes. And then obviously Ant will be defending Rui, which is a little bit of a size mismatch, but I don't know how much that'll actually get punished. In terms of how they played against each other in those past matchups, Minnesota defended the Lakers really well, held them to 101.9 offensive rating over the course of those games, but definitely has to be considered that Luka and LeBron didn't play together in any of those games. One of them actually, neither of them played. It was just Austin Reeves, which the Lakers still actually managed to score a decent amount in that game. On the season, versus Luka, actually, Minnesota has held him to just 37% from the field. But also Luka was having a down stretch in a couple of those games that he played. And in the most recent one, it was just after he returned from injury. So really hard to say how much of Minnesota's past success will actually, stick moving forward into this series, because it's basically a different Lakers team that they're playing against. The way the Lakers defend Anthony Edwards has been really interesting. In the most recent game that they played, which is the lineup most similar to what we'll be seeing in the playoffs, the Lakers really have help come very early. So when Ant is isolating on the perimeter, trying to get a drive going, something like that, they have the defender to the left and to the right shade over towards Ant, like literally one pass away, to try and bottle him up if he tries to drive. So they're doing everything they can to prevent him from, even getting a paint touch. And it was actually pretty effective in that game. Ant got ejected partially because he was frustrated with the defensive scheme and that the refs weren't calling when there was a lot of contact, playing very physically in the double. So one big question that's really going to define this series is Ant going to be able to play make out of those doubles? He's not, historically been a very effective passer, and just a good stat that kind of encapsulates that is his assist to usage is 0.66, which is in the 9th percentile. Assist to usage is basically how many assists he generates based on how much he has the ball in his hands. So 9th percentile for that means he has the ball in his hands a lot, not generating a lot of assists. Maybe having Ant operate primarily as a ball handler in the pick and roll could be an answer with Gobert. If they're focusing all their attention on Ant and then they're relying on help to come over and stop Rudy Gobert from rolling, I mean, that'll probably just be 2 on the rim for Gobert, right? Statistically, he's a very good roll man, and he's also just really big into a smaller Lakers lineup. Actually, 1.21 points per possession as a roll man for Rudy Gobert. So really, really effective. And it's going to have to be effective off the ball if he's getting all this attention from the Lakers defense. And he's been really great off ball this season. On spot ups, so, just spotting up, shooting, catching the ball, attacking a closeout, stuff like that. He's got 1.23 points per possession and over 60% effective field goal. So very efficient, very high quality offense for him. And then if he's coming off a screen on off screen play types, he's got 1.15 points per possession and about 58 effective field goal percentage. So still pretty solid numbers. So I don't really have any question as to him being efficient off the ball. It's just he's going to have to continue to do that. Who's going to take on more of those ball handling duties if the Lakers are trying to get the ball out of Ant's hands? Are we going to give Randle more touches and more usage? Are we going to give Mike Conley and Rob Dillingham more minutes and more usage? They've been really reluctant to do that recently. Are DiVincenzo or like Nickeil Alexander-Walker off the bench going to get ball handling reps? Is Jaden McDaniels going to be getting more offensive touches? Stuff like that. It's something we see. It'll probably be some kind of mixture of all of those things. Now I want to talk about Julius Randle. His form is going to be in question for some people because everybody knows how he's, kind of had some really bad meltdowns in the playoffs in the past. But the difference for me this season is he just looks more comfortable with his role and he looks more efficient as a second option. He's averaging 18, 6, and 5 on only just under 13 shots a game. So really, really efficient offense from Julius Randle. If Minnesota needs him to step up as a creator, is he going to start forcing those shots, though? That's the thing that we have to consider is obviously back in New York, when he was the primary option in the playoffs, he was really forcing up shots, breaking the offense when he had more usage. So if the Timberwolves need him to be on the ball and create more, is he going to start letting some of those tendencies come back? I don't think so necessarily, but it's definitely a narrative that is going to continue to haunt him going through this postseason. Julius Randle's playmaking is actually going to be pretty important for the team, I think, because same kind of deal with Ant, but just as a scheme thing in general, the Lakers will send extra bodies when Julius Randle is playing his style of bully ball, in the high post, if he's touching the paint and whatever. They're going to send a lot of attention. If he can draw draw the help, and he can get off, his signature, like step through, kick out, or whatever, find his big man down low. That kind of passing is going to be really important to get LA, in rotation, generate good looks for the Timberwolves, because the Timberwolves move the ball really well off of those kicks. And if the Lakers are sending a lot of help, it's going to generate really good offense. But it all starts with Julius Randle. My last concern with Julius Randle is defensively. He can hold up, one-on-one with LeBron pretty well. He's big, he's strong. But how is he going to hold up if he's covering the pick and roll? If LeBron is screening or handling the ball in the pick and roll, how is Julius Randle gonna perform there? Because watching him in some of these games, he can really get lost having to navigate some of these screens or recover to his man after getting caught on a screen, stuff like that. In some of the recent games the Timberwolves have been playing, like, for example, in the game they played against Memphis, which is one of the games I was watching to kind of get a read on the Timberwolves for this video, he was dropping more, but he did actually give up a lot of threes off of that drop to guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., screeners who can pop to the three-point line like LeBron. So it'll be something to watch. The Lakers will probably want to attack that, and we'll see how Julius Randle holds up. Another big narrative that I think is going to kind of change over the course of the series is the minute split we're going to see between the big men for the Timberwolves, right? They obviously have their standard starting lineup of Randle and Gobert, but they also have the Randle and Naz Reid lineup for more shooting, which is much better offensively, but worse defensively. And then they have the Naz Reid and Gobert lineup for extra size, which is pretty solid defensively. So we're going to have to see how the ratio of the minutes between those lineups stacks up. Because Gobert is going to really be a problem on the rebounds for the Lakers, right? In the small ball lineups that the Lakers have been playing a lot, so with Jackson Hayes off the floor, they give up an offensive rebound on 30% of their possessions. And meanwhile, Gobert is averaging over 12 rebounds a game since the trade deadline, with 4 of those being offensive rebounds. To put that in perspective with another stat, he gets an offensive board 13.4% of the time by himself in that same time span since the trade deadline. And the Lakers don't have really anyone aside from Jackson Hayes, obviously, who can match up with that kind of rebounding. So that might be a big problem for the Lakers with that lineup. And honestly, Gobert just might be a problem in general for the Lakers, right? They're going to have to commit extra bodies to him just purely off of his size, his lob threat. And when they're sending help, they're probably going to give up some lobs to him in the dunker spot, putbacks, dump offs from Randle or Ant driving, stuff like that. In the past 10 games, he's averaging 19 a game on over 70% from the field. So Gobert, obviously not a great offensive player, but when you have to catch the ball and dunk over a smaller guy, Rudy Gobert is your man. So we're going to have to see how the Lakers scheme for that defensively. Are they going to be more reluctant to commit bodies on drives, stuff like that, so that they can focus on Gobert? Or are we going to see them just rely on the backline help to defend Gobert? Kind of in reverse to that other point about the rebounding, in the non-Gobert lineups, rebounding might actually be a problem for the Wolves. They also give up about 30% offensive rebounds with him off the floor in those lineups with Naz Reid and Julius Randle. So definitely be watching those lineups. I think Gobert is going to get some heavy minutes. I just think he's the best matchup defensively with, obviously 4-time DPOY. And then offensively, I think the kind of size that he provides, especially counter in those small ball lineups that the Lakers are running, Gobert is going to kind of run rampant. And then for the Lakers offense, I think a key point of emphasis they're going to try and focus on is getting Gobert away from the basket as much as he possibly can. In some of the last games, when they still had AD on the roster, they would have like LeBron or a guard screen for AD in like the inverse pick and roll, and then they would roll. So Gobert would stick to AD up on the perimeter, and then AD could find the roll man or the cutter, or just get the defense in rotation off of that kind of action with Gobert away from the rim. And then they would also do some like give and go type plays where AD or whoever was being guarded by Gobert would catch the ball on the block in like the mid post, either like do a give and go, so whoever threw the pass would cut to the basket, AD would find them, or passes out of the post back to the perimeter, get the ball moving, stuff like that. Keeping Gobert drawn away from the basket. I don't think necessarily they're going to be able to draw Gobert away as much with Jackson Hayes on the floor, simply because Jackson Hayes isn't really a shooting or a post-up threat. So Rudy Gobert is going to, be more reluctant to step up to him, and he'll be able to play his drop. But in the smaller lineups where Gobert is defending, LeBron or something and has to, step out towards the outside, it could maybe work, these types of actions, drawing him away from the rim. Because if you can get, LeBron or Luka downhill off the ball with Gobert pulled away from the rim, there's no one that can really match that kind of offense for the Lakers. Naz Reid isn't going to stop LeBron or Luka downhill. Jaden McDaniels is a great defender, but it's LeBron and Luka. If they're getting downhill and Gobert's not at the rim, they're going to probably score, or at least, generate a good kick out three, something like that. All right, time for my prediction. Everyone's favorite clickbait part. To kind of summarize my thoughts, the Wolves have defended the Lakers really well, and they kind of have answers defensively for what the Lakers are trying to do on the offensive side of the ball. But the Lakers do have just more talent in the lineup, especially considering or compared to those past matchups. LeBron Luka and Austin Reeves will all be in the lineup. I think the Lakers defend Anthony Edwards really well, but they also do give up a lot in terms of rim protection, and they might give up some threes on the drives, stuff like that, with the help that they show. I think the series will really also depend on how effectively Luka is able to just get to his spots. How much help are the Timberwolves going to send at him? Is he able to, just get to his spots on Jaden McDaniels and score anyway? It's Luka Doncic, so the answer is probably. At least, definitely, they're not going to lock him up over the course of 7 games. The better Luka is as a scorer, the more efficient he is, I think the easier it'll be for the Lakers to take this series. So my official prediction is not Lakers in 5, but Lakers in 6. I just think Minnesota's defense is too good for the Lakers to really come away that easily with that series. I can definitely see Minnesota forcing 7 games or even maybe winning if everything clicks really perfectly for them. Ant's firing on all cylinders. The defense is really locking up. But I can also see the Lakers offense, just with the pure, scoring power that they have, also firing on all cylinders and maybe just scoring the Wolves out of the gym, winning in 5 maybe. But I'm going to split the difference, and I'm going to say Lakers in 6. That's my official prediction. All right, I hope you guys, got something out of this video. I'm going to be continuing to do these preview videos as we go forward. There's some that I'm really excited to do. I'm going to do one, probably Knicks Pistons will be the next one, I think. Either that or Bucks Pacers. Got to show some love to the East. I've done 2 videos on the West in a row. But I definitely also want to preview the Rockets versus the Warriors series, because I think that might end up being the best first-round series out of the playoffs this year. All right, so subscribe if you want to see those videos. Like the video, comment whether you agree or disagree with my takes, and I'll see you guys in the next one.